We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
Okay, this is Vance Bolter, the man who assassinated Representative Hortman of Minnesota. We are getting a ton of details about Vance, such as he has been appointed by Governor Tim Walz to be on one of his boards in 2019. We'll get to that later. In fact, we have a bunch of new details to go over. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps the videos go to other viewers so they can see what's happening. And people need to see what's happening right now. Here we go.
We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
And so the reference materials that were inside of the vehicle that we saw, we have no understanding that any of the no kings events would be targeted, but we also find it of interest to the public that these would be in there, and we want to alert everybody until we do that. Because this is such an active investigation with information not knowing right now, we feel it's an obligation to all of you and the public across the state of Minnesota to alert you of it, and that's why the Colonel made the notation of recommending people don't go today. But the individuals are not in custody yet.
Okay, so here's what's interesting. Along with the No Kings flyers found inside of the fake cop car, we'll get to that later, we also have a manifesto, a political manifesto. However, we are not being told what exactly the manifesto was all about, other than there were politicians who were written on that manifesto, but the police department has not released any information. So again, we have No Kings flyers and we have a political manifesto. Let's continue.
What kind of vehicle, how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Now, the big question, how was Vance able to get a hold of a cop car? Well, we know it wasn't a cop car, but we also know Vance is associated with a security company and he could have access to vehicles that look like a cop car. Now, we actually have a direct statement about Vance. Dr. Vance Bolter has been involved with security situations in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and the Middle East, including the West Bank, Southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. He brings a great security aspect forged by both many on-the-ground experiences combined with training by both private security firms and by people in the U.S. military. He has worked for the largest U.S. oil refining company, the world's largest food company based in Switzerland, and the world's largest convenience retailer based in Japan. So this guy is armed and trained and has access to equipment that is not good for security forces who are looking for him or civilians in the area.
And so we want to make sure, as that very active manhunt is underway and continues, that we make sure that we're sharing that, and that's part of why we're making the recommendation. As to the investigation and the list, we are working through that now and talking to individuals, and we'll continue to. What I would say with the list is there's a large number of people. That's all I can say about it. We will work through all of that, what the motivations of this are, and we'll provide that as you can. This is really a public safety announcement for everybody so that we can make sure people are informed and make safe decisions throughout the day.
Okay, so now we're going to dig into the Tim Walz connection. Before we start, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can give you guys updates on this story and other stories like this throughout the United States. Okay, so this document right now is circulating on the internet since there's a connection with Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and Vance Bolter. Now, we have to be very careful. When we say there's a connection, this doesn't mean that Governor Tim Walz has anything to do with this situation as far as involved with the plot. But when we say connection, we mean that Tim Walz has literally appointed this man back in 2019 to be on a board. Specifically, a business member of the governor's Workforce Development Board. So if you were curious, these are the details. If you want to pause the screen, I'll even back up. If you want to pause the screen and read this, right now this document is circulating the internet. Now, as I make this video, we actually have an update as far as the hit list or the manifesto that I mentioned. Check out this clip.
What have you learned about this hit list that police say was found in the suspect's car? He's now on foot. He left the vehicle and possibly a lot of other valuable tools.
Well, the car is a treasure trove of clues and potential clues, not just forensically, but things in plain sight. What we're told from law enforcement sources briefed on the investigation is that there are a cache of additional weapons inside that car, indicating that the suspect was loaded for additional targets, possible confrontations with law enforcement or security, a large amount of ammunition. In an ammunition bag, they found a Father's Day card, presumably addressed to the suspect. But there is also this manifesto which lays out his issues, and on top of that, a very, very long list of names, approximately 70 names. This includes numerous state legislators from Minnesota, but it also includes other elected officials, a couple of mayors. It includes other places in Minnesota, including medical clinics, abortion providers, pro-life advocates.
Okay, I want to stop here real quick to clarify. Again, we don't know the exact names of who was on the manifesto, but what you may be realizing is that there's a whole lot of everybody. Some ideologies are more conservative, some are more Democrat, so it's very hard to figure out what exactly this guy is trying to do or what he's trying to accomplish.
And it includes some locations and individuals from out of state. What does that tell us? It poses the question of what was the ultimate game plan? Was it to continue to get through this list, to go as far down with as many attacks or assassinations as possible until he was stopped by police? What we know now is that at his first location, he did his first attack in the pre-dawn hours of the morning in the darkness, that preemptively police went to the second location where the nearest other elected state official was and ran straight into the suspect.
So what we're realizing is that this man is trained, he's intentional, and this is how he was able to escape other officers who showed up to the scene and engaged in a mini firefight.
In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, a representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
So again, this guy actually engaged police officers, and in a very rare occasion, he was able to engage the officers, retreat back in the house, and was able to escape the scene. By now, we are like hours into the investigation. Typically, a man who's on foot would have been caught by now. But look, this is a trained security guy who knows what he's doing, has very bad intentions, so it's going to be hard to catch this man, and he's very dangerous.
The Brooklyn Park, Minnesota police exchanged shots with the individual, which caused him to flee towards the house and then into the darkness. But that also made him leave that car, all of that evidence, and potentially part of his plan behind. Now, with the idea that they exchanged gunfire, the fact that he was described as wearing a tactical vest, probably body armor, likely bullet resistant, he may be wounded. Or the vest may have deflected that, but he is with whatever weapons he had on him, without a vehicle, and still theoretically on the move somewhere in that area that he could have gotten by foot.
Now, as I was making this video, doing some research, I found that Hakeem Jeffries made this clip to speak on the matter. And again, this is Democrat leadership.
Targeted and tragic attack directed at 2 Minnesota elected officials is disgusting. And it should disgust anyone who has any decency in this country. There are so-called leaders in America, in elected and appointed office, who are creating a climate of violence, making it clear to some of their supporters that it should be open season on public officials. They are targeting, arresting, prosecuting, and manhandling people who are elected to serve their communities and going after them simply for doing their jobs. Enough.
So I'm going to let this clip speak for itself. You can leave your comments down below. I just wanted to show you guys, unfortunately on a day where you're supposed to be supporting the US military or going out in protest, which is fine, that is an American right, you have political leaders pointing the finger already at other parties. Now, this clip is also circulating of the lawmaker where she sided with Republicans as far as not giving free health care to illegal immigrants. I'm going to let this clip speak for itself as well. I'm just trying to give you guys a full picture in which you're not going to see on television or mainstream. You really have to do a lot of digging as far as independent media and finding clips like this so you guys can have an actual informed opinion and not be told what you have to think.
The debate was emotional and at times very personal for some of them, and there were concerns that the fierce pushback could derail the deal.
What I worry about is the people who will lose their health insurance. I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision. And we tried any other way we could to come to a budget agreement with Republicans, and they wouldn't have it.
Well, we'll continue as we did last year, focusing on the things that they care about the most, which is strong public education, affordable health care, and then economic security for their families.
We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark, were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost a dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There's still a lot more that's probably going to come out, and I don't think the manifesto is going to be released. I would be shocked, considering if those names that come out are who we think they are, that's not going to be a good thing. Now again, make sure to leave your comments down below. Please like the video, please subscribe. Thank you guys for all your support. Make sure to be super safe, and if you do live in Minnesota, seriously, be really safe, lock your doors, be vigilant. Thank you guys for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.